Welcome back to Afternoon Live. It can be difficult to find any therapist lately, but when you do start counseling, it's important that your therapist is a good fit. So here to tell us more is clinical psychologist Dr. Alexander Alvarado is with us today. Dr. Alexander, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're talking about therapy today. First off, what's people's hesitations about therapy?
Yeah, so a lot of people have a lot of hesitations about joining therapy. There's always been a stigma around therapy. I think it's definitely lowered now more than ever. But another barrier that really people have is once they have that decision of I'm going to join therapy, it's a very overwhelming decision after that is how to find the perfect therapist.
Right, someone that you're comfortable with, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a hard thing to find. There's a lot of different resources these days, which is a great thing, but also kind of provides a barrier because you don't really know where to look. Which resource is a quality resource, and where do you start?
Yeah, where do you start? Like, what is the first step?
So a lot of people make the mistake of just looking for the most convenient option. And what I mean by that is usually the #1 hit on Google. Just because a therapist is the #1 marketed might not mean it's the best therapist for you. Another mistake I usually see is going with referrals, which is good, but you need to make sure that that person, just because that person went, was well with your friend or family member, doesn't necessarily mean they're the best therapist for you. So these are great starting points, but that's all they are, is just starting points. So I'd recommend doing your research as well as having a 15-minute consultation with any therapist you choose.
And what do you do during that 15-minute consultation?
Sure. So during that 15-minute consultation, you want to ask the therapist a few questions. And this is your chance to ask the therapist questions because usually in therapy, they're doing a lot of the listening. So make sure that that therapist has specialties with the reasons that you're coming in for. So if you're experiencing anxiety, make sure that therapist also specializes in anxiety. Another question I would ask is, does this therapist utilize evidence-based treatments? And what that means is, does he do things that are backed by science? And what I would do is basically Google some of the things that he tells you. Some common ones are CBT, also known as cognitive behavioral therapy. But Google whatever he tells you, and if you see something like pseudoscience pop up, it might be a red flag. And last but not least, get an idea of how you feel during that conversation. If you feel heard or comfortable speaking with that person, because that's a big piece of successful therapy.
At that point in that 15 minutes, do you start to share your own story and kind of see the reaction?
So great question. And this is the 15-minute consultation is not a therapy session. So it's an important distinction. You basically want to give them almost an elevator pitch of why you're coming in. So, whether something happened recently to you or what you've been experiencing. And what you really want to find out is, hey, has this person helped people similar to me? And obviously, can this person help me?
And then once you go to someone a few times and you don't feel the connection, what should you do at that point? Should you just, for your own mental health, keep going? Obviously, probably try to find someone new, but sometimes that takes some time too.
No, of course. And I think if you realize something's getting stale or it's not working, that can be actually a therapeutic, process. And if you bring that up, I would always recommend bringing it up to your therapist if you feel like things aren't going as well as you want. But following that, yes, I think that starting that process as not fun as it is probably the best idea.
What are your favorite resources out there for people?
Sure. Well, actually, we've created a really unique resource to help people find the perfect therapist. We've actually gone ahead and done a lot of the vetting. That's basically all we do is find qualified evidence-based therapists. And then we created a short 5-minute questionnaire to really help match everyone with the perfect therapist. So these questions, range from would you feel more comfortable with a male or female therapist to even getting a little bit more in depth of, are you looking for someone who maybe is goal-oriented, right? Maybe someone who's more reflective, meaning, do you want someone to sit back, listen, and provide feedback? Or maybe a holistic therapist, and that would be maybe somebody who recommends things like meditation. And these aren't mutually exclusive. A lot of people and therapists have a little bit of each. But from these questions, we're able to really match everyone to their perfect fit.
All right, so we want to get people to you. Dr. Alexander, thank you so much for this info today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're going to have more information about Dr. Alexander on our website, a link to him on KATU.com.